Hello everyone, and welcome to Education 3313, Integrating Technology into the Classroom. I'm Dr. Moore, and this session we're going to be talking about your Module 2 Expert Interview Instructional Screencast and Personal Learning Networks at high-level overview. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation, and you can do the same on your screen so that your links become active. Okay. So here's what we're going to be covering this time. We're going to be looking at synchronous and asynchronous screencasting. Our discussion board questions, we're also going to be looking at your personal learning network samples. We're going to be talking about online learning, flipped learning, models and methods and storytelling and tech tools and all those items that you really need to do leading and learning in an online format, as well as connect you with an expert in your area so that you can start to interview them with questions that you'll need to know to start learning in your classroom and really start a whole teaching environment to where your students are feeling that they are ready to learn whenever they walk into the classroom. All right, and then we're going to give you a step-by-step assignment walkthrough page so that you can really get started and feel successful in your upcoming assignment. So here are some of the questions that you're going to be covering in our discussion board this module. One, what are the benefits of an online personal learning network, or PLN? So why would you want to join an online PLN versus just talking to the teachers at your school? And then what PLN are you likely to join first in an online format? Number 3, what are 2 to 3 benefits and drawbacks of flipped classrooms of 100% online learning? And then number 4, 2 to 3 types of and tools of online learning that you will likely use in your classroom. And so these are all hypothesizing, and it's just an approximate number. 2 is fine, 3 is fine. If you want to give me 4, that's fine too. And then number 5, why is or could it be important to invite outside experts into your classroom via a live and or recorded screencast? So why would you want to connect your classroom in Durant, Oklahoma with an expert in, say, Sacramento? Okay. Here are the standards we're covering. The ISTE standards, Model Digital Age Work and Learning, and that's for teachers. And then here's some of the vocabulary that you're going to be learning in our course, or in this module. The way that you can best define, one of my great tools that I really like is NetLingo. There's a lot of part of the hardest items of working with technology and teaching with technology is learning the lingo or learning the vocabulary, because every year there's numerous new words that you have to learn in order to really understand what's going on. And so some of the keywords that you'll need for this module and to really work in an online format are the ones I've listed here. So go ahead and visit this link, go to NetLingo and define some of these words. Here's some of your key concepts and programs. This is a short 1.5-minute video on personal learning networks. It's a TED Talk, and it will give you just a very brief overview on what a PLN is. Excuse me. I have my finger on the mouse. Okay, so go ahead and click on that link, and it should take you right out to watch that video. And so you'll put this on pause, go watch the video, and then come back. Okay. And then you go back to your PowerPoint. Also, this is about connected educators. So a personal learning network means that you are now a connected educator, and you are going to be connecting with other educators for your interview and hopefully in your classroom when you bring your experts in. But I want you to learn a little bit more of that, and notice that there's a whole Connected Educator Month. So there's a real push all throughout K-12 and then higher ed in order to connect education classroom teachers with experts in that content sector. Maybe you're learning about astronomy, so you would contact an astronomer at the local observatory and have them Skype into your classroom, and so your students can ask real-world questions. Okay, so it's about almost 5 minutes. Go ahead and click on the link, watch the video, pause this presentation, and then come back to me. After you come back, you're going to see, so welcome back. Here is another website for you that is wonderful resource website for you about online learning and leading. Now, you do not have a graded assignment based on INACOL, but what I want to do with each one of these modules, and my goal is to send you away with resources, yes, to complete your assignment. But I also want you to have resources so that when you go back to your classroom and your principal, your administrator expects you to do an online learning lesson for your students, you have a whole list of tools, resources in your toolbox. And so you would just pull up this presentation and there you are. My goal is to not only teach you about learning technologies at an undergrad level, but to also fully prepare you that when you get into your classroom, you have a toolbox of resources that you can actually integrating technology into the classroom, and that you can integrate the resources that and the projects that you created, you can do those in your classroom. And these sorts of resources I'm giving you will help you do that. So think of it as tools that you could use for your assignment completion for this course, but it may just end up being for your future classroom, and that's fine. Here is more information about Connected Educators. Recently, it's been within the past couple of months, I was invited into a third grade classroom in Colorado, and they had me talk about Native American history, Native American current practice within schools, because that's part of my subset. So they found me, I'm part of Microsoft's Education Network, and so they contacted me through there, and then I Skyped into their session. So that is an example of being a connected educator, and here's another article for you to read. Edutopia is a great magazine, online magazine for you to subscribe to. They do really post current topics that are helpful to educators of all grade levels. Here's some more information on flipped learning. Now, much of the way I run all of my classes now is in a flipped learning format. That means I put all of the content online. I put your teaching videos, your resources, your templates, your samples, everything you need to know to be successful this teaching video. And then any in-person class time that we have is strictly for making meaning and you working on your project. So typically, even if we were meeting in a face-to-face format, I would not be adding in a whole lot of new stuff that I hadn't already provided to you in this learning module, okay? And many educators believe that this is a more effective way of learning because the students have time to sort through the information, maybe with their parents or with a mentor on their own, and take their time without having the pressure of a classroom environment or the time pressures of a classroom environment. So go ahead and read a little bit more about flipped learning and flipped classroom, and you might highly consider doing this in your future classroom, especially now because numerous Oklahoma schools are doing 4-day weeks. So you could even flip the Friday to where students are still getting some instruction per a video like this at home while they're off on a Friday. Okay. Summer instruction is also a great opportunity for flipped learning. Another example of connected educators and online learning that is done very well is the Google Certified Educators, and they have several levels. This is an overview of level 1, and then Google has an amazing network of online educators who are Google certified. It's a free training, and the certification test itself I think is $10 or $20, but it provides you inroads into this wonderful network of other online educators. It's an amazing personal, professional learning network. Folks that can support you, answer your questions. So even if you have nobody else in Durant, southeastern Oklahoma, who teaches with technology or uses Google or uses game-based learning, you can log into this Google certified network and find somebody who's doing any one of those things without a problem. Okay. I also wanted you to look at how they plan an online lesson or a unit, like it's here. They have the introduction, they have the objectives, all of that. It's a very well designed online learning format. as well as they have the entire certification here with the expected time. Now, in a perfect world, now Google has unlimited resources in order to pay folks to be able to do this sort of content creation, instructional design. And this is what everybody would have in a perfect world. Not everybody has the unlimited Google resources that they do, but this is at least an exemplary model for you to shoot for if you're going to be doing a flipped model where you're putting your lessons and your units online for student use. And here's an example in Oklahoma that online learning, flipped learning, has been extremely successful. My friend John Pugh he wrote the charter for Oklahoma's online school for students that were in the OJA, so the Oklahoma Juvenile Authority. So the students had some sort of legal troubles, etc. And so they were put in OJA, or the Office of Juvenile Affairs, and then this was the online charter school that those kids were able to attend because they often were transferred from place to place, etc., missing a lot of school time. So John and Mr. Pugh, using a Blackboard, LMS, and some other great content and resources, put all of their education online underneath this unique charter that allowed the students to maintain educational progress in an online format. So it's a great example. Go ahead and look at the PDF and see how it was really helpful to that specific group of students. Okay, so for this particular assignment, now all of that is background information about creating a personal learning network, about reaching out to others who you may be able to invite into your classroom for an interview, or who you may invite, or you may get invited into somebody else's classroom for an interview, right? That's about your professional learning network, your team of other professionals that help you be an excellent educator, because you can't do it by yourself. The days of getting the keys to your classroom, shutting the doors with your students, and not reaching out to anybody else in the profession are over. And so the best educators are the most connected educators. They share resources, they share information, they share all sorts of things. So now the specific tools to get your assignment done for this module 2, it starts here. That was more of the theory, this is more of the practice. Okay, so one of the best tools for screencasting, and screencasting means, and you can go back to NetLingo and define that, but screencasting means that you are casting something. You're teaching, generally, you're speaking, you're participating in an interview. There's some sort of speaking or need for recording. And that's based on your screen. Like right now, it's just me and my computer in my office. I have CAMTASIA, this tool here, up. I purchased it. You can purchase CAMTASIA sometimes anywhere from $50 to $120, depending if it's on sale. So it's not inexpensive, but it's also not required. It's an option. And so my CAMTASIA application will record me speaking into the camera as well as my screen. So not only is it recording me, but it's also recording my screen so that you get the benefit of both of those resources, okay? And then it merges them together with some other animations like highlighting where I'm clicking, or I can do different fade in, fade out with the screens and all of that. And those are the tools built into CAMTASIA that are much more than some of the other tools I'm going to recommend. So go ahead and visit CAMTASIA and you can see how it works with this link, and then come back to our presentation. I also wanted to give you some concrete storytelling techniques about how the professionals tell those highly engaging stories to get their students, their audience, whomever, really excited, really engaged, motivated by their talk. Because part of teaching is not only knowing the content and knowing how to design lessons, but also connecting with your students. And a good storyteller with good storytelling techniques knows how to connect with his or her students. So that's often one of the core skills of teaching that's left out. So I wanted you to have at least a bare minimum background in storytelling and give you some example. Here's a basic book. I think it's under $5. And then go ahead and look at some of those TED Talks and how do those speakers speak into the camera and how do they speak to their audience at the same time, like they were screencasting, because those are the same tools that you're going to want to do when you're doing screencasts and when you are interviewing on camera and it's recorded and provided into a flipped learning format for your students. Okay. Also wanted you to see some podcasts, and this Cool Cat teacher, she is, her name is Vicki Davis, and she's highly touted. She's sponsored and been profiled by all these leading, featured in all these leading publications because she's highly regarded, and she produces a lot of podcasts and a lot of information, screencasts. Podcasts are often just audio. They have vidcasts or VOD-CASTS as well, which incorporates the videos. Often podcasts or VOD-CASTs are hosted in Apple iTunes, which is a platform that's specific to publishing. It'd be like an audio magazine, where the screencast doesn't really go through any other publisher. My screencasts don't have to go through iTunes like a podcast or a podcast typically does. Okay, so that's the main difference. Is podcasts and VODcasts are typically sent through iTunes at some level. Maybe not even fully published, but limitedly published to a small group. Whereas screencasts, you just record it, you save the link, you upload it somewhere, and share the link with your audience. Okay, go ahead and follow Vicki Davis. She'd be a wonderful addition to your professional learning network, and she shares amazing resources on every topic. Here are some other digital storytelling apps for creating presentations and slideshows. So, of course, part of a screencast is what's going to be on your screen as you're seeing here. So I have demonstrated PowerPoint for you. You're going to see some other tools like Prezi or Haiku. Those are some really great formats for creating digital presentations. And then here's some others, so a list of 20. And this website is a pretty good website to follow as well or subscribe to because they repeatedly post excellent content for using education technologies in your classroom. And then here's some blended learning. This is an actual toolkit, which is why it's in this portion of the presentation. So you can download the toolkit, what is blended learning, benefits of blended learning, and this will give you a full toolkit to actually use in your classroom. Published by UCF, which is a highly regarded university, and I think you'll find this useful. You may not use all of this content again for this lesson or for this module artifact, but at least you'll have something to get started, and at least you know the term blended learning exists. Okay. This is Will Richardson. He is also a highly regarded leader in the sector. He is talking here specifically about personal learning networks. Go ahead and watch his short video and learn what he has to say about personal learning networks. Here is a pseudo screencast of me and my background, which I think you watched at the beginning of the semester. So here's another example of a personal contributing to a personal learning network. A lot of Southeastern professors have their videos up here. Khan Academy, there is quite a significant community with Khan Academy, and there is also lots of screencasts. And here's a screencast of Sal Khan, the creator of Khan Academy, and you can see how not only does he do his screencasts, but how he also definitely does flipped learning, and how he also does personal learning networks. Blog, you can find the other professionals that are in there, and then the team as well. So here's some more tools. I showed you Screencast-O-Matic. Here's some other tools. I'm sorry, I showed you CAMTASIA, which I'm using now. Here's some other tools that you can use, and then here's how much they cost. Many are free. Some of the free ones you can only record, say, 3 minutes or less, or 5 minutes or less. Some are paid, and Explain Everything is one of the ones I like the most. Screencastify is free. It's a free, there are two versions, I'm sorry. There is a free version, limited time recording. If you want the full version, $20 fee one time. I would say it's well worth it. It goes straight, the recording goes straight to your Google account. You can share it from there. Excellent. Highly recommend that one. It shows you what devices those tools work with, and then how easy or difficult is it. QuickTime Player is difficult. I haven't used Teach by Nomia, but anyhow, these other ones, Jing is fairly, and so you can try out the ones. I would suggest you start with Explain Everything, and or I would also, you can try Jing, Screencast-O-Matic I've used, and then Camtasia. You can also download Camtasia and use it for free, I believe, for the first 30 days. So while it is more expensive, you can get a free trial, and the trial should be enough to get you through this assignment. Okay. Each one of these tools, I haven't walked you through how to use each one of these tools, because every one of the tools have a tutorial, a getting started quick guide, a getting started video on their website. So look at a few. Maybe you want to pick the easier ones, 2 or 3 from this list, then choose the one you want, and then once you pick the one you want, watch the quick start guide, the quick start video, and make sure you kind of know what you're doing. Do a test run, make sure that you're feeling successful, and then go ahead and schedule and do your interview after you're feeling successful with this app. Okay. Here is also some tools for recording Google Hangouts. I do Google Hangouts, and I usually use Screencastify to record them, but here's some other resources for you if you want to use a Google Hangout. And say that you want to interview somebody for this module that lives in Oklahoma City. You don't have time to drive to Oklahoma City. You can schedule a Google Hangout, because I've already given you the resources on how to do that, and then use one of these 5 free tools to record that Google Hangout, and there is your artifact. Boom, you're done. Okay, so you would make sure you know how to use Google Hangouts, make sure you know how to use one of these tools, send the link for the Hangout to your interviewee, meet there at the appropriate time, ask him or her questions over the Hangout, make sure that's being recorded, make sure it's under 5 minutes, submit it, you're done. Okay, they're like, if there's editing that needs to be done, maybe there's a complete flub in the middle of it, edit it out, but then go ahead and go back and save it and upload it, and you're done. That's it. All you are producing for this assignment is a less than 5-minute screencasted, recorded video of the interview questions you're going to see in a minute. Okay, so please don't make this harder than it is. Here's a little bit more about Screencastify. There's a Vimeo that introduces you to it. Again, $20 one-time fee. Screencastify Lite, you can record up to 10 minutes per video, and then the Screencastify logo. That's fine. The Screencastify Lite will work for you. So it's free. You don't need more than 5 minutes of video, so the 10 minutes maximum will work for you. Okay. Again, here's this Camtasia, try free for 30 days. You can use this link to go there. Here's how you create a new account. Here's the Explain Everything I told you about, and I see that it's now available for both Chromebook, iPad, and laptop. It used to be I could only get it on my iPad, but now it's available for all those different devices, so please do use it. Part of this interview, and sometimes what comes up in this module, is interactive whiteboard training. So that's one of the key things that everybody likes to learn as part of integrating technologies into the classroom. So because we are only meeting online, I felt it was best to give you tutorials and trainings on using interactive whiteboards and the already created resources by that product. So the main 2 types of interactive whiteboards that are available are smart boards and Promethean boards, and you'll likely see both. Now there are other options, but the majority of them that I've seen across the nation in the schools are either Smartboard or Promethean. Okay, and here's a link on how to use Smart's notebook and kind of an intro into using their interactive whiteboard. Of course, it'll be different for a Promethean board, but I want you to have both. Okay, and again, here's their Smart quick start guide and all of that. All right. Here's another list of web conferencing and screen recording tools, Big Blue Button, Any Meeting, Google Hangouts. We've been using the Hangouts. Another ones that come out is Zoom, and that we're looking into that more and more. There is also a book, again, going back to the interactive whiteboard, that I want you all to be familiar with, which is Interactive Whiteboards Made Easy. Now, this book was published in 2010, and I'm still sharing this with you because I like that it was written for all learners. So this looks like it could go all the way from elementary all the way up to high school and beyond. So here are some activities if you want to just get started using your whiteboard. And again, you notice it's $20 download. Okay. Here are some of your discussion board questions. We went over them in the beginning. And then here are your proposed expert interview questions. Now, remember, you have 5 minutes or less. If there is something else that you would really like to know as part of your interview that I haven't covered here, please go ahead and substitute in one of your questions or two of your questions for these, okay? So you're going to do an introduction. What is your name, your employment, service, position, title, kind of the question of tell us who you are. Second question is, what are your reactions when encountering a new technical device such as an app, online strategy, or computing tool? How do they act when how do they feel or act when they are having to integrate new technologies into their classroom? I know how some of you feel or act when you're having to do a new assignment. So sometimes folks are excited and sometimes there's just a lot of nervousness. So that's your question. Number 3, describe the access to high-speed internet and current mobile or online learning. What kind of technology access do they have is number 3. And if you want to reword this to make it even more simple for yourself, that's fine. Like number 3, describe your access to technology. Okay, and you can give them those examples or not. Number 4, what online, mobile, or other instructional technologies, and I give you examples, are you currently using for your professional and personal life? Number 5, how, if at all, does your use of these tools help your work-life balance? What I'm looking at here is these technologies that they're using, is it making their life harder or more complicated or easier and more manageable on a day-to-day basis? So sometimes the technologies makes our life more difficult or easier, and so I'm wondering how they're feeling about the technology use in their own classroom, and I want you to know how they're feeling, right? Number 6, what new online, mobile, or other instructional technologies would you like to utilize? So you could even just simplify that and say, what new technologies would you like to incorporate in your classroom now in the next month? I'm fairly flexible with these questions as long as you get to the heart of what we're trying to ask. Number 7, how will you or do you currently address any anticipated challenges such as lack of access in implementing your chosen technologies? Do they have a lack of connectivity? Do they have only a few devices, one computer in the entire classroom and no other access? What challenges are they facing with technology? Okay. And then number 8, is there anything else you would like to share with me about this topic? That's just a general closure. Okay. And then of course you thank them for their time and triple check that they're okay with you sharing the content. Okay. So here is your overall instruction. So I just gave you the content, gave you lots of theory, a lot of practice, a lot of tools. And so here's your instructions for this assignment. Number 1, watch and take notes this entire presentation. You have the standalone presentation as well. And so watch them both or go through them both and take notes about what's important. Number 2, very carefully read my rubric. Always know the rules of the game before you start. So know how I'm going to grade you. Number 3, review all the samples and the templates that have been provided for you. I give you examples from other students have been very successful. They got all points or maybe only missed half a point. So look at those first. And so know kind of in your brain, map in your brain what you're going to have to be doing to be successful. And then, like I told you, go back and choose a tool. You can start by kind of previewing 2 or 3 tools. SCREENCASTIFY, CAMTASIA, explain everything. Pick one of those tools. And then you're also going to have your content. So with this interview, remember it's a screencast. So you're going to have some sort of presentation as well. So you're going to have a start page like I have my beginning page, and then your next slide likely would be your interview in that, okay? So, or you will have a slide with a link to your video that you upload to YouTube, okay? So you can either embed the YouTube in a slide or you can link out to the video. Either way is fine. And yes, again, this video has to be uploaded to YouTube and you give me the link, okay? And if you want to upload that presentation or that video into a PowerPoint presentation, that's fine. But I encourage you to do that. I want you to do that. But the video still needs to go to YouTube. Okay, so maximum of 5 minutes and on the interview. And number 6, when you are finished, and then make sure that you use the questions or some very close hybrid of those questions from slide 36. Number 6, when you are finished, you and your learning partner should assess your work based on the rubric in step number 2. Number 7, upon completion, share your final draft on the Blackboard discussion board provided. So again, we're going to have a peer review. You can share your work and give each other comments and feedback that you can make those adjustments prior to finally turn them in to me. And then I will provide you a link to turn in the assignment. Okay, that is all. Thank you very much for your attention. You're doing great, and I'm enjoying working with you, and look forward to our next module. Please contact me here with any questions.